Alright, so now that we know all about units and about algebra and manipulating units using algebra, we can do unit conversions really easy. So unit conversions are often overcomplicated, and we'll see that if we just use our brain and use our minimal skills in algebra, we don't need to really think too much about unit conversions. So let's think of a little complicated unit conversion. Let's say we want 3 meters per second, and we want to convert that to nanometers per hour. Okay, so that looks a little complicated. So the first thing I usually do when I see this is I look at the units that I have to convert to. So I have to go from meters to nanometers and seconds to hours. And so what I usually do is write what's called a conversion fraction. And conversion fractions are always equal to 1. And so by timesing our number by the conversion fraction, you're actually not changing the number. So I'll show you what I mean. If I want to convert from meters to nanometers, I try and write a fraction which describes them in terms of each other. So I know that 1 times 10 to the negative 9 meters is equal to a nanometer. So it is 1 times 10 to the negative 9 meters per nanometer. And that's nice and easy. Now let's think about seconds to hours. So seconds to minutes is 60, minutes to hours is another 60, 60 times 60, 3,600. So there's 3,600 seconds in an hour. Okay, so now we have our two conversion fractions, and what we're going to do is we're going to try and write out these conversion fractions in a way that the units cancel to the units we want. So we want meters to be cancelled and we want nanometers to come through. So what we can do to this fraction here is we can flip it because it's the equivalent. In 1 nanometer there is 1 times 10 to the negative 9 meters, and that is still equal to 1. Alright, so let's times that by the fraction 1 times 10 to the negative 9 meters, and you'll see immediately that the meters and the meters cancel and it gives us nanometers on top, which is what we want. And we look over here to our other fraction, and it looks like we can just put it straight in as it is, 3,600 seconds per hour. And you can notice that the seconds cancels with the seconds, and we're left with the units we want, nanometers per hour. And this is by far the best way to do units, because otherwise you have to memorize conversion factors and memorize formulas and everything. But if you look at it this way, it's just algebra, and you can just treat these units as algebraic constants. So all we'd do is we'd times 3.0 times 3,600, and then we'd divide that by 1 times 10 to the negative 9, and then that would give us how many nanometers per hour 3 meters per second is. So hopefully that's helpful. So next we're going to talk about errors and how we use them, and then what they actually mean and how to minimize.